Buris, that's Sami for hello. As she said, my name's Laurel Sanders. I'm right here, right inside Duluth, Minnesota, on the shores of the St. Louis River that flows into the beautiful, magnificent Lake Superior. I'm an artist and I've always enjoyed learning and making things. Slide. My children and grandchildren are Ojibwe from the Fond du Lac Reservation. And one of the things I enjoyed helping make are the regalia for their dance outfits. And one of those things I enjoyed making were the woven belts that are actually multi-strand braiding. So cut to me. Wait, we'll wait on that slide. Okay, just a little teaser. So when the Sami Culture Center was first established in Duluth, Minnesota, and we set it up and then went for sort of a grand opening, one of the first things that I saw was this display of beautiful, intricately woven bands. And I had my connection with the finger woven bands, and I became so interested in learning everything that I could about them. Today, I'll be sharing some of what I've learned, the history, the background, the creation process, and the uses of these bands. Now, a funny little story about coincidence. Slide, please. About this same time, I was attempting to join the digital age, and I got myself an iPad. And one of the features of the iPad was that it had ebooks loaded onto it. And one of the ebooks, you'll see the first ebook on the left was a book called Sámi Bandweaving by Susan Folks. And I proceeded to read the book there and look at her tutorials and purchase the book for real. Susan, if you're watching or you watch this later, thank you for all your expertise and your generosity in all the things that you share. Slide, please. So let's back up a little bit. Who are the Sami? The Sami, formerly known as the Lapps or Laplanders, are the indigenous people who live in northern Norway, Sweden, Finland, and northwestern Russia. They're known for their association with reindeer and resourceful nomadic lifestyle. Slide. There are 10 different Sami groups and languages spread out throughout the northern area of Europe. Slide. Currently, the Sami are very active in environmental stewardship and in indigenous culture reclamation. One distinguishing feature of the Sami are their traditional clothing. Next. Each locale has its own type of clothing, and within that, each village there are variations. And as you can see, these people from South Sami are wearing beautiful belts, woven belts. Next. Here's a gathering of Sami from all different regions, showing the great variety of gakti. And you can see some weaving if you look around the belts and shoe bands, on their hats, many different places. Next. The Sami word for handcraft is doji. This literally means useful things made beautiful. Weaving is one of the Sami doji, along with knife making, woodworking, leather, and metalwork. Next. The Sami have created a symbol to indicate items that were made by Sami people, Sami craftspeople, in order to maintain the integrity of these traditions. They invite everyone to explore these traditions and learn how to make them and keep these traditions alive. They respectfully request that when people are over in Sami, that they, thanks, Kat, they purchase items with the Sami doji or Sami made symbol on them. Next. Weaving bands on small rigid heddles has been documented since the year 100 Common Era. This is my cat. Go, go. This is a heddle, a reindeer heddle, and these have been found ever since the year 1000. People all over the world discovered how to create fabric using the simple device of heddle and shuttle. This type of weaving was well suited to nomadic lifestyles. Next. Here's a Sami woman outside using her shuttle and heddle. She's doing backstrap band weaving. She's wearing traditional clothing. Next. And then if you wanted to do it with your friends, you could get together in the house and you could have a special hook in the corner where you could meet and work on your band weaving together. Next. This photo intrigues me and it shows the great variety that can occur within one craft. Most band weaving is woven from the weaver outward towards the fixed point. In this type of weaving, the person starts at the fixed point and weaves toward themselves. All right, now I'd like to do a little bit of show and tell. So what is Sami band weaving? It's a form of rigid heddle weaving to create straps, bands, belts, and other items. Here is a reindeer antler heddle from the Sami collection. Probably before heddles, people may have used strips of leather or string to make fabric. This is just so ancient in human history. So the heddle is a comb-like tool with holes and slots. It's threaded with lengths of fiber, yarn, and it can be raised and lowered to create a shed. You'll see this later. A shuttle is wound with fiber and woven in and out. That's weaving as the shuttle is raised and lowered. A machine. Now, for pure function, a belt or a band could be woven just out of plain gray, white, brown, or even one certain color of yarn. But that's not what human beings like to do. Somehow, by combinations of intent or happy accident, incredible patterns developed. And people developed multiple variations of ways to create those patterns. In Sápmi, which is a description for the region where the Sami live, differences in ways of manipulating the threads became associated with different locales. The basic tools, as we've shown for rigid heddle, are very universal. By adding strings, by adding strings and sticks or additional warp over the top, even more varieties of things can be created. So you end up with very complex patterns. Oh, and the main tool that you need is dexterity and lots of practice. Dr. Carrie Hertz has written a wonderful book called Dressing with Purpose about traditional clothing. And she describes in there how some people in Sweden, in Jokkmokk, Stor and Stalka, became concerned, along with the general craft community, that the tradition of band weaving was being practiced less and less because it is very, very complex. They worked with weavers to find ways to make this more accessible to other people. Although, of course, it's still good to maintain these ancient traditions, and that's why we value our folk schools. Slide, please. These are examples of just basic heddles in different sizes. They have slots and holes. Slide, please. Next. This is an example of what can be made with a basic heddle. And as you can see, it's anything but basic. Simply by arranging the colors in different order, amazing patterns can be created. Next. Another adaptation that actually is quite ancient is a heddle with two holes. Next. And this is an example of some of the patterns that can be created with this. Next. And this is another more recent type of heddle called the Siga heddle that simulates a very complex method of additional warps. Next. And here's a couple examples of the wonderful, it's called like a jumping block pattern that's reversible to either side that can be related to that can be created on these heddles. Next. And this heddle is called the pattern heddle. This is used in many parts of the world to do a type of weaving called pickup because the shorter slots create a third shed in the weaving that makes it much easier for the weaver to pick up and leave down the threads in order to manipulate the threads and make very complex patterns. I'd like to talk about, back to me, thank you. The Sami word for heddle is nushkum, and the Sami word for shuttle is gaipa. And gaipas come in different styles as well. The ones with a point, make it easier to do pickup. Some have a curve as well that make it easier to use. There are other tools, not too many, but one that's handy is a band lock that makes the weaver able to leave their weaving. This can be like this, or it can be a chip clip. It can just be a lock of yarn. There are other types of tools, warping pegs, warping sticks, and threading assortments. Weavers are very, very clever. If those of you who are weavers, you know, and find very ingenious, MacGyverish ways to make their life more simpler or easier or more complicated. And it's fun to share those different ideas. Now, these types of bands can be done on an Inca loom. They can be done on a rigid Heddle box loom. Bands can be made on a floor loom, warped multiple times. Traditionally, though, they were done on a backstrap loom. And so I'm going to be sharing a little bit about that process. Now, this isn't a class. There are wonderful, wonderful classes, wonderful YouTube tutorials that will go through each step, and you can watch them over and over. That's what I did until you are able to understand all these processes. I'm just going to give you a quick 101 crash course in how it works. Please look at folk schools, Vesterheim classes, and tutorials to learn more about this. But here's the basic 101. The first step when you're going to want to weave is to decide what your pattern is going to be. What style do you want? And which heddle do you want? And there are wonderful resources for this, books and online. And then you can either use a computer program or go old school and create your design with graph paper so you have a graph to go by. Your graph will tell you what order your warping your threads are going to be, and you're going to use that to warp. Now, to do this, you need a very special assistant. You see the cat? Okay. Cats love this process. Now, these are my warping pegs. When you want to warp, you can also use chairs. You can use a couple trees that are at the right length. You can use chair tops. You can flip chairs over and use chair legs. Anytime you have two fixed points that you can get the yarn the distance that you want. These handy dandy pegs, I gotta make this easier to show. So what I'm going to do is look at my diagram, and it says that I want 2 red links, and I'm going to wind that around. Oh, and then it says that I want 2 blue links, and I'm going to wind that around. And I'm going to keep going, but we're not going to do that here because that's like watching paint dry. This other tool is very handy to avoid confusion. They're warping sticks, but you can also use yarn. It's important when you are warping to create an X. Then you stick your warping sticks into your X. Like I said, a class or tutorial, you'll get plenty of chances to see this. This keeps your threads in order so they're ready for your next step. Which is to thread your heddle. Again, you're going to refer to your diagram because the warping sticks are most likely going to keep this in order for you, but you want to double check. So referring to your diagram, you're going to thread your heddle. Oh, there we go. You're going to thread your heddle. Now here's where those MacGyverish things come in. I'm guessing the holes are rather small. And so I'm guessing back in the day, yarn was larger, or people used fine pewter wire in order to do it. These dental cleaners make wonderful tools. So I'm going to slide it in and thread, and then continue following the diagram until, are you ready? Magic, magic, magic. Your entire heddle is threaded. As we said before, you can set this up anywhere. We camp a lot. I take this camping in my house. I like to set up on a window ledge with a C-clamp. Oh, uh-oh. So when you get ready to weave, this will be good. All right. It's nice to get all your items handy with you. Your beverage of choice, maybe a book or some music to listen to, anything else that you want. And then you need your back strap. Now, this could be as simple as an actual belt or a length of cord. I found a wonderful pattern for a back strap that has some heavy support, and so it's very comfortable. So I'm going to put that on. And I'm going to take my threaded heddle that now has my unwoven ends, and I'm going to attach those to my belt. Now, to start with, you can tie it or attach it to a spool, and then you can, as you move along, you can add your band lock. Now, this is very handy because you know what's going to happen as soon as you sit down and start to weave. The dog's going to want to go out, somebody's going to come over, and that way you can attach and reattach very quickly. And there are very simple snap clips of these that you can use too. Okay, we are set up to weave. So what I'd like to show you, and I hope you can see, is what we mean when we talk about a shed. You know, a shed outside has like a slanted roof. Well, a shed is an opening in the weaving. And so as you raise the shed, you have openings. And then when you lower it, it switches. So the openings are different. And in pickup weaving, you have a third area in between. And this is what makes it easier to make the diagrams. Like I said, if you take a class, it'll all become clear. So what's helpful when you first get started is to put in a couple spacer sticks, hang on to your popsicles, or you can use yarn or anything else. You use it, put one layer of those. Oh. Raise, lower, and as you can see, that hopefully locks in your threads and it holds them in place for when you start weaving with the yarn. Now we're ready. Here's our gaipa. This is a nice one with a nice curved stick. Interesting thing, if you're a weaver and you've never done this before, in other weaving, you weave with the shuttle, not in backstrap weaving. The threads will get shredded and this might break if you're strong. You actually pack your threads with your shuttle. So I'm going to raise my heddle. I'm going to, for just a basic weave, I'm going to go through, pack. Oh, that got long. You know what, yarn does? Yarn is always going to want to do what it's going to want to do. It's like fishing string. And then lower and pass. I'm going to do just a little demonstration of how pickup works, just to kind of get the juices going. To do pickup, you raise the heddle, you put your shuttle in, and what you're going to do is, follow your pattern to decide whether to raise or lower your pattern threads. This pattern says raise two down, two up, one down, three up, three down. And so that is what's going to show. I'm going to lower the heddle and follow my next pattern design, which says raise two, down three, raise two, down two, up one, down three, press, and weave. Now you can do this for as long or as short as you want. When you're ready to take a break, secure your shuttle, remove the band lock. So what I'd like to talk about now is the question of what distinguishes Sámi bandweaving from people all over the world that also do this tradition, which is one of the things that I like about it so much, is the fact that it's something, and it's so fascinating that people all over learned how to do this. Now, some of it, people in Peru, in China, use shuttles and heddles. How did that happen? In the Nordic countries, did someone do it? And I love to think that someone else saw something when they were trading items and decided to share. It's a wonderful part of our human history. But as far as what distinguishes Sami bandweaving, I had to do some research, and I asked the folks, the wonderful folks at the Rigid Heddle Facebook group and the Braids and Bands online groups. I want to thank Mari Voipio and all the others who shared their knowledge. One of the things that makes a difference in Sami bandweaving is that it uses almost exclusively wool instead of partly cotton and linen, like some traditions use. The interesting thing about the wool is that it wasn't necessarily something that the Sami sheared and spun and carded, although they did do that for their blanket traditions. But for this fine yarn, this was a very sought after trade item. And the Sami were very sought after as traders because they had furs and hides that everyone wanted. And in exchange, they wanted wool fabric, beautiful yarns, and other things like coffee that they could trade for. Another thing that distinguishes Sámi bandweaving is their use of colors. The colors red, blue, green, and yellow and white that you find on the Sámi flag are colors that you find in all different versions of their gakti. Although modern gakti might be pink and purple too. But the main distinguishing feature are the patterns. Now, the mathematics of, of arrangement is going to distinguish what can happen with the patterns. And so there will be some similarities in patterns all over the world. But others are very distinct to different Sámi locations. I'd like to share some examples from the collection of the Sámi Cultural Center of North America. Here's a very long, very functional belt woven in plain weave, basic weave. And here's one woven in plain weave, but with very beautiful, bright, contrasting colors. Here are some pairs of shoe bands in beautiful yellow and red colors. And here are some others, same colors, but very different patterns and borders. So these would be from different regions. Here are some narrower bands. This with the reversible jumping pattern from the Ume, Pit, and Lul areas, you can see is made with the Siga or the additional warp method. And this one was actually has the Sami Doji symbol. Here's an exquisite example of a small band woven in basic weave, but just with a beautiful arrangement of colors. And a narrow band woven with a pattern heddle. Now I have to show you something really, really special. Well, first, here's a wonderful book that has instructions in Sami of how to create bands step by step. Now this treasure. Here is a wonderful book published in 1946. It is written in Norwegian, but you can see the photo of the Sami woman on the cover. It has some wonderful background information on Sami bands and some beautiful photographs of items with the accompanying patterns. This particular one is for a style of belt worn in northern Sami that is woven in 3 parts and then attached together. Here are some shoe bands for women. Another belt pattern. A pattern for children. A men's shoe band. Another beautiful belt pattern. And a pattern for a cuff. One thing I'd like to share is that these bands have many special uses. And so, so if we could have the next slide, please. Yes, and this is the one I want. Oh, no, if we go back there, do you remember that pattern that I showed you that I said showed a band, showed a belt that was made in 3 pieces? This is a photo of that belt. You can see the center section and the other 2. These are belts that are worn as part of the North American, not North American, Northern Sami, Gakti. There's right now a special initiative going on through the North Sami Museum to teach and maintain this tradition with its accompanying vocabulary and study of symbols. It's a wonderful, wonderful program. Next. And here's a wonderful, very functional belt, because up north, you do not want that cold wind. If you can keep your core warm, you're halfway there. And so here's a wonderful belt to hold your coat together. Next. Another very important use of bands, both for function and for local identity, are the skallaband, the shoe bands. These wonderful Sami boots made out of reindeer hide, there are wonderful features for them. They have the hide running in 2 different directions to act like a brake. They're full of sedge grasses to keep your feet dry. And the bands keep the snow from going into your boots. Next. And in the summer, the shoe bands can also keep out the dreaded mosquitoes. Norwegians have, and other Nordic people have similar bands that they use as garters for the tops of their stockings with their traditional clothing. Next. One very important use of Sami bands is on Sami cradles. Sami make cradles for their children out of reindeer antler, bone, wood, and hide. These are made like little sleds and are a wonderful thing for the children, the families, to have as they're traveling or as part of their life. The bands act to secure the child. They act as carrying straps, hanging straps, and they hold wonderful wishes for the children. Next. Here's another example. Is similar to the cradle boards that my Ojibwe children have, where the beadwork and the applique work that people use for the cradle boards holds wishes for the child. The bands in the Sami cradles hold designs and wishes for safety for the children. Life is dangerous. It's dangerous up north and it's dangerous everywhere. And so hopes for safety for the child are woven into these bands, as well as wishes for them to have a good, strong character and a good, long, happy life. Next. Cradles are traditional and they're also very contemporary. Next. All right. Thank you. Oh, next. Yep, there we go. So there's an abundance to learn about this tradition of band weaving. I'd like to acknowledge Mari Voipio, Susan Folks, and all the innovative weavers and tool makers who have come before. My daughter and I have received an American Scandinavian fellowship to study band weaving in Sámi and Norway this fall. And so we have so much to learn in the museums and from the weaving mentors that we're going to be meeting with. We do have time for questions in the chat. Thank you so much for your attention. I'd like to encourage you to watch Heather Torgren's webinar on Norwegian band weaving this fall. I know I'm looking forward to it. I have and enjoy her book. Here are some resources for Sami band weaving. There are many additional ones with our wonderful ways that we can look things up now, but here are some that I have found. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laurel. Like Laurel said, now is a great time. We already have a few questions in the Q&A, but if you want to, you can submit them down below using the Q&A feature. First question we got is, what material do you use to weave? Is it cotton? Is it wool? And how do they get such vibrant colors?
Oh, great question. Sami band weaving uses a worsted wool in what is a knitter would know as a stocking weight. You want worsted because you want it strong. You want it to be able to take that tension of the weaving. And the worsting is a twist in two different ways. It comes in, like I said, a stocking weight. The folks at Sturstalka have a yarn called aku, which means your grandmother's weight, because they studied the traditional yarns to find the weights that were used in those yarns, and they simulated those. And you can get that. I'm not I'm not on their payroll, but they are a wonderful company from Sturstalka. But you can also get good, strong worsted, 4-ply worsted stocking weight wool to use.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We also have a question about resources. Other than Susan's book, what other videos or books do you recommend to learn Sami weaving?
Okay. I would recommend Susan's tutorials. Are so well done. There are others as well. There's a wonderful humorous one where the woman is weaving out with her goats in a field. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It has a cute name. But I'm familiar with Susan's. They're so clearly done and so well done. I'm not familiar with other books other than hers. She also has a lot of pattern books. A lot of them are in Sami or Norwegian, so I'm more familiar with the material that is available in English. That's
Absolutely. Another question about kind of learning more about the Sami weaving. Where can people learn more about the history of the Sami weaving and the different patterns that they use?
Oh, that is a wonderful question. And there is a lot of information there simply about different uses and things like that. I would just say to do a good old Google search. I haven't really found like a main avenue in. Maybe I'll know more once I have gone over to Sápmi and visited at the museums. But there is a lot of information. I would also really encourage people to talk to the folks both at the Rigid Heddle Facebook page. There are a lot of very knowledgeable people there. And Braids and Bands is an online fiber band that talks about bands all over the world. But there are many wonderful people there that have a lot of great insights.
Wonderful. And I know that you talked about the Sami weaving their hopes and intentions in with the bands used for cradles. Were there other patterns that had significance either for married women or men versus women, different significant life events?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. Yes, like in the patterns in the book, the uh, the patterns are very clear with and which are for gender and for age of children. I believe there are traditions with the belts. I have so many questions when I go over to Sápmi to learn. I believe there are traditions for married people versus unmarried people and children and different ages. But I know the significant feature is the locales each have their own pattern that people wear.
Wonderful. And I will share, I know people are asking about the resources. I will show the resource page again in just a minute. But can you tell us the name of the two books that you showed us earlier in the presentation?
Oh, okay. Let's see if I can hold this up. My Norwegian isn't very good. Samisk Bandweavnad fra Finnmark. And this was a special collection, I believe a university collection. So I don't know how easy this is. This is to get at. This book in Sami, like there again, my Sami pronunciation is, oh, what did the cat do? Oh no. I think the cat did something.
We can still see you and hear you, so I think that you are just fine on our side.
Okay. You did something to me. Okay, I don't know what she did. She touched the keys. But if you can see me, do it. See. So this one is Dujo Falgarvud Dokai. And I can put it up here and hold it so if people want to do a screenshot. And the other book I can get Susan's book. So
Wonderful. And while you're stepping away, I will show the resource page one more time for anyone that missed it. Wonderful.
Okay, I'm back.
And you said this was the book by who?
This is the book by Susan Folks. It's a small little book, but it's very comprehensive. It has directions and it has resources in the back for tutorials, for sources for tools. So it's a wonderful, wonderful resource. A lot in a small package. And it's an ebook and a physical book.
Wonderful. I know a lot of people are asking for the resources. I will make sure to type up all the books that were recommended during the presentation, include them in the email that I send out later with the YouTube link and survey.
Okay.
Just so that everyone has it.
Wonderful.
Is there a meaning or regional significance for like the ends of the multi braids? whether they're separate or in line or with pom-poms, if it's fringe.
Oh, that's a great question. I will put that on my list of things to ask. But I do know that when a person gets done weaving, making fringes and pom-poms is a whole other type of craft that is really fun. I think of it sometimes as the dessert because sometimes it's so much fun to make. Oh, I forgot to say one more quick thing. Contemporary Sami weaving, these are traditional, can go in a lot of different directions. I've made guitar straps, and one of the favorite uses is they make a really great key ring because they're flat in your pocket and yet they're easy to find in a purse or anything. So a lot of contemporary uses as well. So, but as far as the endings is an art in itself, and there are so many different kinds. And I'm going to ask that question when I'm there because there are so many ways of finishing up. One thing that's important is on the shoe bands need to be finished up with a long enough cord so that they can be secured. And so that is an art in itself.
Wonderful. And I know we're running out of time and there's still some unanswered questions. If people have questions, where can they look for answers? Where can they find you?
Oh, okay. I can give my email. That would be the best.
Wonderful.
So, are you ready?
Go for it.
What?
Go for it.
Okay. It's just my name, Laurel Sanders, 49 @gmail.com. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. Oh, I do have a Facebook page too. So they can also reach me on Facebook Messenger that way.